final series is one of the best times of the year as the 8 best teams of the year battle it out to become premiers. For this list, we are only considering finals matches from the NRL era, excluding grand finals, and we as fans have witnessed some incredible rugby league skill, embraced the larger than life spectacle, and reminisced on the classic game deciding moments that create a great finals match. There have been 180 NRL finals matches, so I'm sure you will understand how difficult it was to narrow this list down to just 10 picks. So, I've compiled quick snips of our picks from 20 to 11. We 100% agree that these picks are classic rugby league finals matches, but we just couldn't fit them into our top 10. So I guess you could class these as some honourable mentions.
And here's the drop goal attempt by Nathan Cleary. He likes it. He's pumping the air.
You take it now, Sean.
Morgan's there, he's got time, he's right in front. Morgan sends it over.
With a kick and a boo behind, as they've done.
Here's Reynolds. He gets a shot away. It's over. Canterbury have won it.
Here's the shot, he's in position.
Back it goes, they need to do the snap. Foot fence. Fence has got him.
That earlier time I gave you was wrong. The kick from Sauer.
Yeah.
The kick from Sauer. It's a goal.
When Munster wants it.
Munster's the man, left foot shot. Munster towards the post. Munster's kicked it.
Crowd tonight and intercepted. And it is Brad. He's away inside the 10. He's there. Lockyer takes the shot. It's low.
He's got it.
I think he's got it. He's got it. He's got it.
He has.
Fierce to the right, inside. Oh! Bateman! Bateman!
Wow.
Yes! Yes!
He sets himself up. He takes the kick. He likes it again. He's a genius, this kid.
Alright, that was 20 to 11. Now, let's get into the top 10, as this is greatest game of all, and this is our ranking of the 10 best NRL finals matches. Number 10, the Dragons versus the Tigers in 2010. A massive crowd of 71,212 people came out to Stadium Australia to watch two historic NRL clubs battle it out for a spot in the 2010 Grand Final. Many classified this as the real Grand Final in 2010, as they were both the two formed teams in the comp around this time. Despite there being 4 tries in the match, it was an incredible defensive display with both teams defending like their lives depended on it. The first of those 4 tries was scored in the corner through Lottie Dakiri, but the Dragons hit back through Jeremy Smith. A brilliant offload from Liam Fulton found a supporting Robert Louis, who would crash over the score under the sticks and give the Tigers a 12-6 lead at the break. The Dragons were able to grab first points of the second half thanks to an inside ball from Dean Young to Jason Nightingale. Both teams were able to make multiple line breaks, but the desperation defence continued for both teams as neither side was prepared to lie down. The only thing that split the two sides was the 35-metre Jamie Soward field goal in the final 7 minutes. Desperation defence was the story of this match, and it was relevant right down to the final play of the match, as the Tigers looked like they were going to pull off a miracle game-winning try, but Darius Boyd was able to clean up and defuse the ball, giving the Dragons a spot in the grand final, where they beat the Roosters 32-8. Number 9, the Storm versus the Warriors in 2008. Arguably the biggest upset in NRL finals history, as the 8th placed Warriors travelled to Melbourne to take on the minor premiers and defending premiers the Melbourne Storm. The Storm were easily the most skillful team in the comp, but the Warriors were determined to use their physicality and determination to topple the minor premiers. The opening try was scored thanks to a pinpoint accurate bullet pass from Billy Slater to Anthony Quinn. The Warriors were able to cross through Jerome Rapati just before the break, leaving the score at 8-all. Billy Slater was denied a try as he took out Lance O'Hire in pursuit of the ball, which allowed the Warriors to march downfield and score a try of their own through Manu Vatuvei. Israel Folau was able to hit back, which levelled up the scores at 14-all. A Greg Inglis field goal in the 67th minute looked to have sealed the win for the Storm, but Jerome Rapati and Manu Vatuvei played crucial roles in setting up Michael Witt to score the game-winning try in the final 3 minutes.
Ivan Cleary, he's riding it home.
He's breathing.
Oh!
Number 8, the Sea Eagles versus the Bulldogs in 2014. A fast start from the Bulldogs to a huge comeback from the Sea Eagles left us with a dramatic and entertaining final 10 minutes and extra time period, as the Sea Eagles and the Bulldogs gave us one incredible match. The 7th place Bulldogs dominated in the first half as they ran away to a 16-0 lead with tries to Mitch Brown, Corey Thompson and Sam Perrott. Manly's Josh Starling was also sent to the sin bin for throwing a punch, but it didn't hurt Manly too much as Jaden Hodges was able to crash over 15 seconds before half time, leaving the score at 16-6. Brett Stewart scored a great individual try to narrow the gap, and with 10 minutes to go, Chase Blair would score after a Michael Ennis mistake to tie the game, with the Dogs having to defend their line with 12 men after Rennie Matua got sin-bin for throwing a punch. Two of the best field goal kickers in the game went head-to-head, as Daly Cherry Evans and Trent Hodkinson had their team's finals hopes resting on their respective boots. But this was Trent Hodkinson's night, as he was able to hit the one that mattered, defeating the second place Sea Eagles in Golden Point extra time.
From Hodkinson, he's got it. They've got the kick. They've got the game.
Number 7, the Cowboys versus the Broncos in 2016. After they played in one of the best grand finals of all time the previous year, the Cowboys and the Broncos pulled off yet another classic match, living up to everyone's expectations when these two teams would clash around this time. The match was incredibly fast-paced, with both teams showing off their brilliant skill in warm conditions in Townsville. In the first minute, Andrew McCulloch went from zero to hero as he kicked the ball out on the full, but then scored the opening try only a couple of minutes later. The opening 10 minutes saw a few nervous errors, but the Cowboys opened the game right up, scoring a spectacular try coming out of their own end, which was finished off by Cohen Hess. The Broncos were able to score just before half-time as Lachlan Coote couldn't clean up a Darius Boyd kick, which allowed Jordan Kahu to score the try, giving the Bronx a 14-6 lead. The Cowboys went bang-bang out of the break, with Justin O'Neill scoring 2 tries in 4 minutes to give the Cowboys a 4-point lead. With both teams out on their feet, Corey Oates stepped up to score a try coming out of his own end to give the Broncos a lead with 11 minutes remaining. With 2 minutes remaining, the Cowboys were given a penalty for Matt Gillette taking out Jonathan Thurston. JT converted a relatively difficult kick to tie the game and send it into extra time. 4 minutes into the extra time period, the man himself, Jonathan Thurston, set up his halves partner Michael Morgan to score one of the great finals tries, creating a moment the Cowboys fans will remember forever.
Across field, Thurston decides to run, flick pass!
Number 6, the Broncos versus the Cowboys in 2015. A look at what was to come for these two teams as they squared off in the second versus third qualifying final at a sold-out Suncorp Stadium, only to find that they would square off in the grand final only 3 weeks later. Many will claim that this match was actually better than the grand final itself, with the ridiculously fast-paced action and skill in both attack and defense. More specifically, the defense of the Broncos, as they were defending their line for a majority of the match, having possession of the ball only 38% of the time. A quick yet physical start to the match saw the game open up in the 26th minute thanks to a great dummy and run from Ben Hunt. Try-saving tackles from Corey Parker and Jack Reed would leave the strong attacking Cowboys tryless in the first half, with the score being 8-2 at the break. The Cowboys were first to score in the second half through winger Antonio Winterstein, and X-Factor Cody Nikorima came off the bench to produce a brilliant break to send Anthony Milford away to score under the sticks, giving the Bronx a 16-6 lead with 15 minutes remaining.
Playing it for Nikorima, an immediate burst into the backfield. He gives it to Milford. Milford will run away and score.
The Cowboys were able to hit back thanks to a Justin O'Neill kick inside for Jonathan Thurston to score. The Townsville boys threw absolutely everything at the Bronx in the final 10 minutes, but as they did through the whole match, the Bronx defense held strong to win the match 16-12. Number 5, the Broncos versus the Storm in 2008. Smith, Cronk, Slater, Inglis and Falau versus Hunt, Boyd, Hodges, Parker and Lockyer. The stars were out in this absolute classic finals match at Suncorp Stadium, as 32 out of the 34 players had played representative football at least once across their careers. After they shockingly lost to the 8th placed Warriors a week earlier, the minor premiers the Storm had to back up for a semi-final showdown with the 5th placed Broncos. The match itself was as dramatic as they come, with both teams giving it their all for the full 80 minutes, utilising their world-class skill. The Broncos were quick out of the gates, scoring off their second set of 6 down their left edge, where Darius Boyd scored the try. Denon Kemp would sprint his way through the Storm's middle defence to give the Broncos a solid 12-0 lead at the break, with the Storm eyeing off yet another huge upset. But they came out in the second half ready and determined to spark a comeback, with Israel Folau setting up Michael Crocker to score. Jeff Lima would be simming for a late shot on Michael Ennis, but the Storm still ended up scoring through Billy Slater. Ben Hannant looked certain to score and wrap up the game for the Bronx, but some brilliant goal line defence from the Storm were able to save the game. As the Bronx were coming out of their own end, bench prop Sika Manu would put on a huge hit on Ashton Sims, which dislodged the ball, giving Melbourne 90 seconds to score a game-winning try. And to the disbelief of the 50,000 Broncos fans that packed out Suncorp Stadium, they actually did it.
It's gone to Cronk. They've got numbers. It's gone to Cronk Inglis. Inglis is over to score for Melbourne.
Number 4, the Roosters versus the Sea Eagles in 2013. Many people will scratch their heads and question why this is even on this list. Not many people talk about it, and it's not shown on the highlight reels. That's because it's one of the best defensive matches you're likely to see, with only one try being scored in the whole match, which was from a James Maloney kick to Roger Tuivasa-Sheck in the corner.
Little challenge! Oh, you think they have got it down by the celebration?
It was certainly one for the purists, as both teams threw absolutely everything at each other in attack, but defence was the key skill in this match, with both the brutal contact with some players suffering from injuries and niggles, and the desperation defence, covering across to save tackles from line breaks and holding their try lines to hold up the attacking players. For most of the final 20 minutes, the Roosters were defending their line with the Sea Eagles desperately trying to cross that white line, but the Chooks miraculously held on to win the match 4-0 in a classic finals match. If you like and appreciate tough, gritty and solid defensive footy, you'll understand why we've ranked this defensive masterclass in our top 4. Number 3, the Roosters versus the Cowboys in 2014. A year later, the Chooks were once again in another classic, but this time it was tries left, right and centre with 2 huge momentum shifts in the 61-point belter against the 5th place Cowboys. Add a 30-point comeback and some controversy, and you've got fans entirely invested in the match. The Roosters owned the first 34 minutes as they scored 5 tries, with Daniel Tupou grabbing a double and Mitchell Pearce, Michael Jennings and James Maloney grabbing 1 try each. At this stage, the Roosters were cruising along through the preliminary final with a 30-0 lead. 2 much-needed late first-half tries from Ethan Lowe and Gavin Cooper left the halftime score at 30-12. The Cowboys were a team on a mission as they came out of the second half determined to keep their season alive, as Jonathan Thurston, Robert Louis and Matt Scott all scored tries within the space of 10 minutes to tie the game at 30 points all, completing a 30-point Cowboys comeback. For the next 20 minutes, both sides started to take some much needed pride in their defence as both lines held each other out. With 5 minutes remaining, the Roosters would score their first and only point of the second half through James Maloney as he slotted through a field goal which eventually decided the match, but that was before Jonathan Thurston was denied a game-winning try in the final 90 seconds thanks to a Robert Louis knock-on which was spotted by the touch judge in the lead-up. But some Cowboys fans may argue that it wasn't a knock-on, which caused huge amounts of controversy.
Well, for a long time in rugby league, that'd be a knockback.
That's not back.
For a long time in rugby league, that's a knockback.
No try. No try. Football god on the horizon. Look at that face on Scotty Bolton.
Number 2, the Eels versus the Bulldogs in 1998. After dominating rugby league in the 80s, the Eels and the Bulldogs were still at each other's throats a decade later as the arch rivals gave us one hell of a preliminary final. The Bulldogs were on a fairy tale finals run as they finished in 9th place and were able to make it this far in the series. But the Eels were coming off a huge win against the minor and eventual premiers the Broncos. That momentum would roll over into the start of this preliminary final with the Eels scoring 2 first half tries through Shane Werrett and Clinton Javolsky on the back of a massive run from Dallas Weston, leaving the score at 12-2 at half-time. The Eels would extend their lead thanks to a runaway try from Shane Werrett. Instead of playing it safe and kicking the ball over the touchline to slow down the clock, Parramatta kept pulling off risky kicks as they had several attempts at field goal and even kicked it out on the full. The ill discipline allowed the Bulldogs to build some momentum, but the comeback seemed impossible as they needed to score 16 points in 10 minutes. Even the commentary team were talking about the Eels versus the Broncos in the grand final.
Parramatta would win today, but it's going to be a tough ask next week. But I suppose one thing Parramatta will have on their side is the crowd. Everyone will be supporting them next week.
They will go in, I would imagine, with a reasonable level of confidence.
I'm sure they'll be confident going into the game, but I just think if Brisbane play anywhere near like they did yesterday, they'll be very hard to toss.
The Dogs, however, pulled off the impossible with Craig Polamaunta scoring off a Jason Hetherington pass, a great offload from Robert Ralph to send Spieth to Rod Silver away to score, and Willie Talau in the corner with 3 minutes remaining. It was 3 tries in 8 minutes, which piled a mountain of pressure on their goal kicker Daryl Halligan, who had a kick from the sideline to tie the game to complete a 16-point comeback.
Has there been a more important kick for Canterbury? He hits it. If it hooks it, it's staying on the line. He's got it.
He's a freak.
Paul Carriage also nearly pulled off one of the biggest blunders in NRL history as he kicked the ball back to the Dogs on the siren for full time, which allowed Craig Pollamanta to have a 48-metre shot at field goal, and it fell agonisingly short.
This is all we've got to offer.
It's over. Oh, hang on. Oh.
The game went into extra time and Pollamanta would make amends and kick a one-pointer in the first set of 6, scored a try not long after, and kicked another field goal on top of a late Travis Norton try to win a historic preliminary final, 32-20. And number 1, the Tigers versus the Roosters in 2010. 100 minutes of the best footy you'll ever see, as the 3rd place Tigers and the 6th place Roosters gave us a match that we as rugby league fans will remember forever. You have insane skill in both attack and defence, a finals crowd cheering on 2 Sydney teams with a rich history and a huge fan base, and dramatic and memorable moments. The Roosters miraculously saved 3 tries in the first half, including 2 attempts from Gareth Ellis and 1 from Blake Ashford. Ellis would be denied a 3rd time as Benji Marshall and Mitchell Pearce got into a fight in the back play, with Marshall getting penalised for throwing the first punch. Lottie the Kiri would score the opening try in the 27th minute, and Beau Ryan would also score to leave the halftime score at 10-2 to the Tigers. Blake Ashford would score an intercept try, and Robbie Farah would kick a field goal early in the second half. Dally M medal winner Todd Carney set up 2 tries in the Roosters' comeback for his skipper Braithen Nasta and his halves partner Mitchell Pearce. Star 5/8 Benji Marshall would suffer from a knee injury, making matters worse for the Tigers. The final minute of play was as dramatic as they come. A huge hit from Simon Dwyer forced Jared Warrior-Hargraves to lose the ball, but the Roosters were able to win the scrum against the feed, which gave them 30 seconds to keep their season alive. And as most of us know, their skipper Braithen Nasta created one of the greatest moments in rugby league history.
It's found Minicello, a long-range shot from the Nasta. He's got it! Oh, what a kick! He got a kick! And Nasta has nailed it!
The unbelievable field goal meant the game would go into golden point extra time, and both teams had great opportunities to seal the win as Robert Louis and Mitchell Pearce both pushed their attempts to the left. Fatigue and desperation were starting to sink in for both teams as Todd Payton threw an almost deliberate forward pass and Sam Parrott touched the ball over the sideline thinking it was a 40-20 opportunity. But the Tigers were the ones to fall deep into that trap as a desperate do-or-die pass from Liam Fulton found the hands of Roosters winger Sean Kenny Dow. A 70-metre diagonal run towards the southeastern corner at the Sydney Football Stadium finally decided this epic encounter.
Not going to get him, although here's Simon Dwyer late, Takiri late, but it's Kenny Dow.
It truly did have the perfect combination of outstanding attack and defence, on top of the dramatic and unforgettable moments, perfectly creating, in our opinion, the best finals match of the NRL era. So, what did you think of our list? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, chuck us a like on Facebook and this video, follow us on Instagram and subscribe to our channel for more Rugby League Countdowns.